we were just talking just before the webinar, you guys had one of your, if I may say, one of the most best performing quarters to date. Like, how has that been driven by how your company, like the companies and the customers you serve, how are they performing? Like, how are they trying to balance, the delicate act between driving revenue growth, optimizing gross margin and EBITDA, and ultimately cash flow generation, right? And the operations around how they manage their cash. How does that impact your business?
It impacts it very positively. And I love this question, Joyce, because ultimately that makes our business, our software, way more mission critical for finance teams. Think of it, if your company is going well and you have raised a very successful round, now maybe you have 200 million in the bank, 100 million in the bank, but now you need to hit very clear efficiency metrics. You need to master capital resource allocation going forward. And yeah, folks will look at you, finance teams, they will be looking at us to provide with that very strict, rigorous, accurate forecasting, budgeting scenarios, helping the company understanding unit economics at the product level, by customer segment, by leveraging the wealth of data and informing better decisions. If your company is in another position and you need to extend runway at the same time, yeah, you're basically in the same cracks, right? So with probably less resources and with a smaller team, you will need to guide and steer the company towards sustainability. We are privileged to be serving these finance teams to do their job better and have that impact in their companies.
Can you maybe share an example or two of some of the companies, like what you've done to help them move that needle? Like, what's the kind of valuable data and BI and information that they're looking to get at to really make that decision on what the next key business milestone is?
For us, for instance, a big use case these days is what we call shadow P&Ls or project-based accounting, or different people call it different ways. But ultimately, probably the sales team has a lot of ambition into launching new products into new markets or opening this and that to deliver on the growth on their growth targets. I think at the company level, they don't have the real visibility on understanding efficiency metrics or unit economics at the very granular level. Imagine you serve 5 customer segments, you have 15 products, and you operate in 10, 20 markets. Like, many companies will have some sort of revenue understanding of how that is operating. But if you want to have a very clear and detailed understanding of how that is impacting your bottom line or EBITDA line or unit economics, they don't have that data because they have a very hard time in allocating OPEX headcount, internal headcount, external headcount. Maybe some are directly allocated, some others need to be allocated in different ways. When companies are working with what we call many dimensions, so a good number of geographies, products, customer segments, whatever you want to call there, they look at the finance team and they need to steer, hey, are we investing more in the US market, in this customer segment with this product, or we want to focus on Asia, or where do we want to be investing and allocating our capital? Finance teams need to be making of their management team amazing resource allocators these days. Capital allocation is the name of the game, and you have a lot of optimism in sales, right? So yeah, we want to expand everywhere and we want to do this and that. People fail to understand, how much money we're making, and this is very big scale ups that don't have that visibility. I'm sure without certain software and technology adoption, how they are going to be driving those decisions.
Yeah, sounds like data is money, right? Data has a direct impact on how you make decisions around money and the people that you hire for that. John, how does that sit with your business? Like, you guys sit on a wealth of data as well, right? Across different companies, people, also different asset classes. So even on a more macro level, how do you guys use that wealth of data to impact some of your customers?
It's mostly about targeting and segmentation. So we have a user base and we know some stuff about that user base, and we have some products, right? Like our wealth management or financing products that we offer. We use that data to slice and dice and try to get in front of people when it's top of mind. So we call them like trigger events. like I said earlier, a lot of tenders happening in private markets nowadays, alternative liquidity from an IPO. When companies launch tender offers, we try to get in front of those folks who have an opportunity to participate, to potentially partner with them in helping them make that decision, or whatever the case might be. It's mostly, for us, it's about segmentation and targeting. There's a bit more that we can do with that data. So we've put out like a guide to the, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's basically like a state of stock options, I think is what it's called. We've put that out of reports like that in the past, where it's more of a macro view of like, hey, what are people getting in terms of grants at different stages of companies, at different levels of seniority? How much are people leaving on the table via taxes or suboptimal exercise decisions? We use that data to dig in at a macro level too. You have to understand your unit economics, and you have to slice it pretty finely. The danger is always that you're going to slice it too finely and start reacting to what is noise rather than signal, because the fewer observations you have, the more likely it is that what you're observing is not actually a pattern, it's just random. I think everyone is a professional and kind of understands that and just needs to balance it.
It sounds like for SecFi, like the data in this particular example you provided is really to understand, urgency behind a particular event, so that like your team is effectively spending their time wisely, which at the end of the day, time is money, right? Like if you're spending time with leads or opportunities that just are not going to convert, like not good use of time, which means it's not a good use of money for the business, which is so critical when everyone's time poor.